Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Waxing Temple podcast. I'm Mikala, and I'm so excited that you are here with me today. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I'm going to share with you guys my experience on me hosting my waxing pop-ups. And I've been wanting to create this little episode for you guys just to give you guys a rundown. I think some of us are, or some estheticians are wondering, like, how do you do a pop-up? And I've just gotten questions on, what the process is like and, how I found my space and everything. So I want to share with you guys just how I did it and kind of what went into play. Before I do that, I want y'all to make sure that you like this video on YouTube and then you go over and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Also, make sure on Apple and Spotify that you follow the show to keep up to date when I drop episodes and that you are just supporting everything that I'm putting out. I appreciate y'all listening so much, and it means a lot to me that you guys find value in this waxing table space. So without further ado, let's get started. So I first got the idea of doing a pop-up actually from a friend of mine who was doing them back in Lubbock. She was traveling back and forth from a different city into Lubbock hosting pop-ups. And I was like, it really piqued like my interest. So I decided to kind of look into it a little bit and see like what that was about. I asked her like how she found her space and what she did to secure that and how much it costs and everything. So I was like, how cool would it be if I decided to do a pop-up in Dallas? This is, we have not moved yet. We hadn't made the transition to moving, and I still have my business in Lubbock. So I was like, this will be really interesting. So I put the idea, actually I let my mom know because I wanted to create like an experience. I wanted to just bring my business, Irie Beauty Studio, to Dallas in a very super fun and like just unique way. So through some contacts, I was able to find a office space, and this office space is actually my mom knows a chiropractor here, and she is so gracious enough to allow me to utilize her space, the entire space, and so it's a pretty good decent size. It has like when you walk in, it has like an open reception area, and there's 2 rooms in the back. So I was able to, wax people in the rooms and then have the reception area where people wait. I had like drinks and snacks out there that my mom helped me provide. And I was able to just like make it my own. So I found that space through connection. So I really, wanted to just create something new. So I had that idea, I secured that spot, and I started marketing that right away. I think I started marketing maybe like 6 weeks out. So 6 weeks before the event, I started really pushing through social media and through word of mouth. And when I had my first pop-up, it was a really, really great success. I had a lot of friends, family come out. And, I just wanted people to come and experience a taste of just self-care. And some people came to just hang out and snack and mingle, which was wonderful. And a lot of people came to, get their brows done or get services done by me. So I really, really was so happy that I did that. And a lot of people left feeling rejuvenated. They left feeling connected. A lot of women were just like, oh my gosh, this is like so great. And that's where I got, people asking me if I was going to just like move back to Dallas. And during that time, I was like, no, we're not moving back yet. So, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to continue to do the pop-ups. I'm not sure how often. I wanted to do it like every 3 months or so. But it just wasn't in the funds and the budget for me to do that. So if you are looking to do a pop-up in a different city, and if it's feasible for you, I would suggest making it happen, word of mouth, ask family, ask friends for some connections. And then there's also this app that is really, really good, called Sheer Share. And I used it to find a few spaces. But it just depends on the city that you're in. The city that I was looking for a certain area, and they didn't have it in that specific city within like the DFW Metroplex. But that app is called Sheer Share, and I'm gonna put it down below. I want y'all to go on there and download it and look through there and see if you can find some spaces. It's basically where salon owners or people who rent their own space put their room up for sale for the day. Basically, it's like an Airbnb for salons, which is really cool. So anyway, yeah, go find it and see if you have any luck using that. But for me, it was word of mouth, and I was able to find some really good connections through that space. So from there, I built a really good, solid like start. And this what made me feel like I could probably move my business to Dallas because of that initially, like me doing the pop-ups and everything. The way I did my pop-ups, like I said, was very unique. I had food. My mom is a caterer and she has her own business, so she was able to really help me with the food. I had decorations, and of course, I provided my luxury waxing services. So from the feedback from there, I really felt like I could do this often. And so it was a year later before I did the next one. But I was able to take those clients from the pop up initially, which was in Cedar Hill, Texas, and market to them again and email them again when I have my next one. So I really built up a good clientele. Now, from those people, I really got, I think it was about 10 people that I waxed that day, which was pretty good. From those 10, two of those are very, very loyal to me now. And I think that just goes to show, like, doing pop-ups could be very, very beneficial. And even if you don't have a space to go into, try to see if you can do mobile services. Of course, factor in the price for gas and everything. So you have to raise your price. But see if you can do a mobile service, like when you go to them. So, I got loyal clients out of that, and I'm so grateful. So a year later, I did my next pop up. And like I said, I pulled from the clientele that I had during the previous year. And I got 3 of the same clients who came back to me from then, from that previous year's pop up. And so this one, I did it the same, but I tweaked a few things. Like I was able to make sure that like all of my supplies and all of my, packaging and like way that I transported things was a lot more secure. Last year I had a hiccup where like my acrylic organizer like fell and broke and all my supplies spilled out on the floor. I was so sad, but I had to pivot immediately. I didn't not have time to like be sad too much about it. Like I had to make a decision because I was on a time frame. So I was like, oh my gosh, so frustrated, but I had to just work with what I had. So anyway, this next one, I made sure all of my stuff was in plastic and everything was sealed and like closed off. So that's definitely a key factor. Make sure all of your supplies and all of your things that you're using to transport your items are securely safe. Okay. So yeah, from the second pop-up, I was able to, it was very successful, still really great. So, but I did a little bit differently. I had pretty much a good amount of food still. I didn't have like as many decorations, and it wasn't as many people that came the first time, but it was still a really good turnout. And I was so, so grateful and so thankful that I, did it. So from those 2 pop-ups, it really communicated to me just based on the feedback that like, you know what, my business actually, I'm feeling a pull. I could actually do something here in Dallas. So, yeah. So that's what I really wanted to just share with you guys, just my experience on doing the pop-ups, because, some of you have asked just what goes into it, how do you do it? I will say, let's break down pricing. Okay. So for me, because I was in a different city, like my business was stationed in Lubbock, the cost of living is super low there. I had one price that I priced all my services at. But for Dallas, I went up a little bit because of the city that we were in. Actually, no, I'll take that back. Sorry. Did I go up? No, I think I kept it the same. I just required a deposit. Okay. So I kept my pricing the same. I just required a deposit. And I think that is so important to have when you're doing any kind of like pop-ups or when you're experimenting on something. Have a deposit just to make sure that it secures, your client's space with you, especially because you're going to be traveling. I was traveling over 5 hours, you guys, for real. And I was not going to depend on the client giving me their coins the day of. I needed something to secure their spot. And, when people provide you a deposit, they're more than likely to show up, or just to be super communicative, if that's even a word. They super like, they communicate with you way more when there's money involved already. So I knew that from the beginning. I was like, no, I'm doing deposits. So everyone required a deposit when they booked an appointment. I required 50% deposit. Like I said, I was traveling 5 hours, and the 50% deposit I felt like was super reasonable. And everyone pretty much showed up. I did have a cancellation, I think, at the last minute that day, but I already had my deposit, so I didn't even have to worry about, charging them a cancellation fee. That was the fee. So, yes, if you're thinking about doing a deposit, I would definitely recommend doing that deposit. Okay, don't be scared. Other logistics, I did find though that I had to have two different booking systems, and although I could have figured out a different way, but because I was using Glossgenius for my main booking for Lubbock, I didn't want to mix the two up, so I purchased another booking system temporarily, which was Squarespace, or Acuity Scheduling. I think they're the same now. But I did Acuity Scheduling for the Dallas pop-up experience. So, I only paid for that just for the time that I needed it. And then when I was done with my pop-ups, I canceled my subscription. So, but I liked it because it just separated the two things. So either find a booking system that you're able to like add multiple locations, because when it comes to like the confirmation text, the emails, you want to make sure that it says the location that you're going to be at for your pop-up experience, not for, your current city that you're in, if that makes sense. I didn't want them to get a Lubbock address when I was going to be in Dallas. So just make sure you're able to find a system that can do multiple locations. I just didn't find one, and I'm sure there are some out there. So if you're listening to this and you know what I'm talking about, send over what you found, what you like, and what you find to be the most helpful for multiple locations. I think Square does that now. I think Vagaro does that, but I just wasn't. I found Vagaro so confusing, and I was just like, no, I don't. I'm just too confused. So, but anyways, yeah, that's what I would suggest. Just making sure that you're able to distinguish the two locations and that all your booking is lined with your pop-up experience, and you don't get it confused with where, you currently take clients. So I hope that makes sense. I've always been interested in mobile waxing, but I think that I like the having the location, because there's some things that you just can't control when you are going to someone's home or someone else's location, right? You can't control the temperature, you can't control like the space that you have to work with, like your actual setup. You need outlets for your wax pot, you need space, and there's just some things you can't control. And so I was like, there's too many variables for me, and I'd rather not do mobile. I'd rather just do pop-ups. So, yeah. So My second pop-up was a success, like I said. And my third pop-up, actually, you guys, was when we moved back to DFW. So we made that move, and I already addressed how and what went into that decision in my previous episodes. So make sure you guys go and check that out. I talk about like what inspired us to move and kind of what went into that. So yeah, my third experience actually was in a completely different city. It was in a city, if you know DFW area, you know what I'm talking about, but it was probably about 30 minutes from where I did my first pop-up. So I was choosing, when I was looking for a space to rent and actually find to be my home, I was going towards like west, which was near Fort Worth, basically. And it's kind of in between Dallas and Fort Worth a little bit. And I was choosing those areas because I was just advised that those areas were really great for clientele. It's growing and kind of like my ideal space. And so I went ahead and chose a completely different location from where I did my first one. Now, those pop up, I did 2 or 3 there, I believe. Those pop ups, my 3 main loyal clients came to, and they were at my previous pop up experience, you guys. So I got 3 loyal clients that followed me, a distance basically to where the where my third pop up was, which is 30 minutes from that first one, y'all. So they drove a pretty good distance. But that just kind of like goes to show you, like, you know what? The more pop-ups you do, the more exposure you just put yourself out there. You just never know who's going to become a loyal client of yours. So anyway, I will say that the pop-ups that I had were still a success, but the turnout wasn't as much as it was the last time. So I did not have the food like I normally do because I actually rented from like a salon suite. She was in a business office and she had an extra room, she said, that I could use. And so I didn't have the food and I didn't have the decorations and stuff. I just was basically like, come get waxed by me. I did do a lot of local marketing. So I talked to a lot of people. I handed out like flyers and cards. And my 3 loyal clients came, but I didn't get any new clients from that experience. Well, I'll take that back. I got 1 new client actually. So yes, 1 new client. But I didn't get any more than that. And I think I was really just experimenting and testing the area. And so when I wasn't getting any more new clients from there, I had to reevaluate where I wanted to be. And not that I couldn't have made it work, but I feel like there was something in me that was like, is this the right location for me or is it not? Because I'm not getting the traffic like I did before. And that's okay. Sometimes you have to rethink and reevaluate and figure out a different game plan. So at the very last minute, I was able to find a different spot, and that's the current space that I'm in. And it's about 20 minutes from that third pop-up location, which in turn is a little bit closer to where I was at the first time. And that's where I'm stationed at now. So anyway, this has been a mouthful, you guys, but I'm saying all this to say, like, my pop-up experiences have been really, really good. The first one, incredible turnout. Second one, incredible turnout. The third and fourth ones that I did were, or I think it was, I can't remember how many I had in the other locations. I think it was like 2 or 3. Those wasn't as successful as I wanted them to be. I made the most of my time though. I recorded content. I was able to network and, get some models to come in and, get on my book set day. But it wasn't as successful as I thought it was going to be. I'm still grateful and glad that I did because I got so much exposure. So when you're doing your pop-ups, just keep in mind that it could be hit or miss. you're experimenting, you're learning, you're figuring it out, you're trying to experiment and find the best location for your business, if that's the purpose of you doing a pop-up. Okay. Now if you have an established place already, looking back on it, to be honest, I would go back to my very first location, because I feel like that space was a little bit more central to the clientele that I was starting to build up. It was a little bit closer to where they lived. It was kind of more of a good spot. So looking back on it, I would have just gone back there and not even done the other location that I was at, because it didn't turn out as successfully as I wanted it to. So trial and error, you live, you learn, you got to figure it out on your own, type of thing. And I'm the kind of person that's a little bit stubborn, and I like to do things my way until I figure out if my way works or not. So that's pretty much a rundown of my pop-up experiences and how they kind of were. I'm glad, like I said, that I did those experiences, and I wouldn't change, and I wouldn't, go back and say, you know what, I wish this wouldn't have happened. Everything happened for a reason. I was able to learn and grow and have some takeaways, and I gained 3 clients from there. Like, come on, that's incredible. So yeah, y'all, that is my rundown, and that's my spiel on my pop-ups. I hope that maybe this, was helpful. If you're looking at doing a pop-up in a different city, definitely evaluate and, try to connect with as many people as you can, family, friends, find an office space, one with a decent price. Or if there's a salon space, find one with a decent price, one that's not going to break the bank. See if there are supplies already included or equipment included. You have to bring your own wax supplies, your own skincare stuff. You have to bring your own wax bed. Like, just already keeping those things in mind when you are looking, to book these places. So okay, you guys. Well, that is all we have time for today. Thank y'all so much for listening. I hope you learned something. I hope that this was very insightful on just, what to either look for, or just to kind of give you a take on my experience and, just learn something different and let you know that you have options. Okay. There are options for pop-ups, and there are options for you to, pull from. So all right, y'all. Thank y'all so much again. And remember to subscribe, send this to a new ST bestie, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Take care.